Mute.
Welcome to tonight's forum via Zoom to discuss the characteristics of the next superintendent of schools for Goshen Central School. My name is Jason Pucci, and I am the president of the Board of Education. On behalf of my fellow board members, Vice President Allison Salty, Martha Bogart, Jeremy Castle, Judy Green, Mike Lorenzo, and Tom Lane, we thank you for your participation tonight. We would also like to thank the community for their 1,232 responses to our survey. Strategic Educational Advantage was selected earlier this year to assist the Board of Education in our search process. Tonight's session is the last one in a long day, which consisted of Zoom stakeholder meetings with our staff, assistant superintendents, the GTA, the GAA, the CSEA, and our PTOs. After tonight, Strategic Educational Advantage will compile the data they have received with that of our survey and individual board member interviews, and return in a few weeks to make a presentation at the October 19th meeting. At this meeting, the Board of Education hopes to adopt the profile for the next superintendent. I'd like to say a quick thank you to Maureen Farrell, our district clerk, Christina Gore, and Jonathan Redeker for their help during this process. The Board of Education appreciates it. Mr. Redeker, along with Strategic Educational Advantage, will be in charge of allowing people into the forum tonight, entering through the waiting room. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Frank Oriema and Dr. Michael Kuchar from Strategic Educational Advantage. Gentlemen, the meeting is yours, and have a good night.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, fellow board members. Maureen Farrell, thank you for your organization. And to all the people that participated this afternoon, this evening, we thank you for your feedback and your valuable input. Frank Oriema and I have had a wonderful day, and we met with various stakeholders in putting together a composite of a profile, the characteristics of the next superintendent of schools for Goshen Central School District. I have been a superintendent for 15 years. I have retired as a K-12 superintendent in Northern New Jersey. The past 3 years, I've been working in a jointure commission, much like a New York State BOCES. My partner Frank will introduce himself.
Hi, Frank Oriema. I'm a retired superintendent of the Pearl River School District in Rockland County, where I proudly served for 24 years. I only half jokingly that I say that I miss the superintendency each and every day, and I've said that for a number of years. I would say, given today's challenges, I might have to take that phrase back, because I think the challenges that lie ahead for superintendents, school leaders, Board of Education, teachers, parents, and children are something unheralded that we have certainly not seen before. Mike and I take this process very seriously. We're looking to make the very best fit we can. We're looking to bring forward a number of highly qualified candidates and put those names before the board and have them make a decision that is really the right one for this community. So with no further ado, I think, Michael, if you would bring forward the first participant.
Sure. Thank you, Frank. So I'm going to be letting people in from the waiting room and would like to get through the first go round and have everybody have an opportunity to share what characteristics they'd like to see in the next superintendent of school. And we're going to start, our first person that we have here is Michelle. So Michelle, we're going to admit you into the chat. Please share with us what characteristics you'd like to see in the next superintendent of schools. Michelle? Okay, I'm going to move on. I have Dr. Jennifer Ben-Peace. Jennifer? It appears we're having difficulty connecting. Jonathan?
When we enter the meeting, just make sure that folks, you're ready to enter with your microphone. Looks like Michelle is back on. She has her microphone now available. So Michelle, are you there?
I am.
Great.
Thank you, Michelle.
I was just calling to listen in. I think you guys are doing a great job. I have 2 kids in the Goshen school system. I am so happy and proud of our teachers.
Make sure that folks, you're ready to enter with your microphone. Looks like Michelle is back on. She has her microphone now available. So Michelle, are you there?
She is.
Here I am. Do you hear me?
We do.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to watch. But I just wanted to say and thank you for all that you're doing for our children. I have 2 children, one in GIS and one in Goshen High School. And I'm just very proud and happy with how much the teachers care. And I feel how much you're doing for us. So I really appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
Dr. Jennifer?
Hello, can you hear me?
We
Yes,
hear
we
you just
can.
fine.
Good. So we're talking about what we want for qualities in the next superintendent.
Yes,
That's
please.
So, leadership, communication skills, familiarity and comfortableness with technology, ability to stimulate people to take on new activities. An MBA, would probably be helpful to be able to navigate finances and to have a conversation about how to work with a group of people.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
next on the list, we have Ronald Padavano. Ronald? And
It sometimes takes a minute for their audio to hook up. So just be patient as people enter.
We will.
Folks, as you're listening, to think about is that if you are listening to the YouTube live feed as well, it will play through on a lag. And that's what happened before when somebody jumped on. So if you're listening to the YouTube live feed, please mute that as you enter the call.
Ronald?
I'm listening, I don't know.
You turned it off?
Ronald,
Yes.
I can hear you, Ronald.
Oh, good, okay. I'm looking for a new superintendent to be focused on academic needs for the future. Also, the person should have extensive experience in education, not just as a leader, but also as in the classroom too, you know? The person should be an academic leader. The person should be a systems thinker. The person should not be afraid to change what is not working at present and not be beholden to any special interest group. The person should be concerned with student-focused learning. And the person should look over the state academic data and make any adjustment to help students succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Ronald, looks like your wife is next. Elvira? We're connecting to Elvira. I want to thank everyone for being patient with technology.
Can you hear me now?
We
Yes,
can hear you just fine.
Ron, turn yours off. We want someone who believes, wait a minute, I have to tell my husband, turn off his computer. I'm sorry, Ron's computer was up.
It's okay.
Quite all right. Go right ahead, Elvira.
Okay, we want someone who, Ron, turn it off. Believes that all students can learn and give the staff and students the necessary tools for that to occur. Someone who has to be a systems thinker. Someone who can use data to drive instruction and move the district to the 21st century, whether that be with technology or whatever else is needed. Someone who's a change agent. Someone who will not be happy with the status quo, but will examine all the procedures, protocols, and policies that are taking place in the district and look and see, are they simply taking place because that's what we did in 1950, or is it time to change them to help our students prepare for the 21st century? I'd like to see someone who has a strong background in education, from a classroom teacher all the way up to administration. Someone who will use data to drive instruction, and someone who will focus the district on its academic needs and what our students need. And someone who could be able to create a multi-year improvement plan, and then take that improvement plan, create it, implement it, visit it, and adjust it as needed for this to help our students grow.
Great. Thank you, Elvira.
Oh, thank you.
Brenda Moore next. Brenda? You're up, Brenda. We can see you. Let's unmute Brenda.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
And
Great, thank you. So as an educator in another school district, I think it's super important and respected when someone has worked their way up through the ranks from teacher to assistant principal to superintendent, just because they know what all of those rules are and can appreciate them and respect them. I think it's important for a superintendent to be a visionary and to make those visions clear, to be an effective communicator, to be personable to the people that they're working with and the community that they're serving. And I think one thing that our current superintendent does really well is he's always present, whether it be at different school functions, graduations of students that are going to schools other than the actual high school, but some alternative kinds of programs, sporting events, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome.
William Castellane. William?
of students.
William, you're up on the screen.
Hi, can you hear me, Dr. Kushar?
Yep.
Dr.
We can
Yes,
hear
we
you just
can.
fine, William.
Great, thank you very much. So for looking at the new superintendent, I'd be looking for someone who has K-12 experience, not just someone who's been either in elementary or secondary, but someone who could speak to both levels. Therefore, they can see where we need to improve on certain programs. A doctor is preferred, someone who possibly lives in the community or has some type of stake in the school district. I'd like someone who has experience in a high-performing school district, someone who knows how to institute change when needed, someone who can bring out outside programs, classes, possibly increase the clubs, all while maintaining community involvement. A leader who's outside the box, an outside the box thinker, someone who can demonstrate that they have a vision, they can follow through. I heard some people talk about possibly strategic planning a little bit earlier on. I think that is a great idea. Someone who's open-minded to new ideas. Back to the technology, as we learned with this past year, technology is definitely going to be on the forefront in education. And someone who has the ability to play to people's strengths. So someone who could come in, can learn people, and find out where the strengths are that might not be utilized within the district to help us increase our current programs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you both.
Wendy Bynum Wade. Hi, Wendy.
Hello there.
We can hear you just fine. Go right ahead, Wendy.
Okay. My feelings on the superintendent is that we need to find somebody who is ready to embrace Goshen. It's not realistic that they're already from Goshen, but that they embrace Goshen as their home for the foreseeable future, not still live somewhere else in a 3 or 4 county area and just come to work in Goshen, but their family is involved in Goshen. Somebody that has an equal emphasis on excellence in academics, in athletics, and the arts. Goshen has an amazing program in all 3 areas. And too many times you see in other districts where one of those 3 legs of the stool get chopped when money becomes tight. And I think one of the mainstays of a Goshen education has been the balance available to students to pursue their interest in all 3 areas. I think it's also very important that they embrace the unique qualities of Goshen and the reason that many of us that have lived here, gone to school in Goshen and raised our kids here in Goshen schools feel that it's so special. There's nothing worse than being somewhere where the new person comes in and they want to make it into remold in a remake of where they just came from. I want somebody to come in and look at all the wonderful things that we have and look for input from their staff, other administrators, teachers on how to make it better, not turn it into something they'd already seen somewhere else. And then a very ulterior motive for wanting to be one of the speakers is I happen to be the editor of the Goshen Independent. It's the weekly newspaper here in Goshen, America's oldest weekly newspaper, I'll add. I haven't been there since it started, but 1806 is when we first got going. And I would very much like to, now that you're really into the meats and the meat and potatoes of this search, having finished the survey and now talking to people, and I presume you'll be looking for resumes soon. I'd like to arrange for some one-on-one time, even if it's over the phone, to talk to you guys about the search and how it's going, and some of the things that you see make Goshen different than other searches you've done. So who's the best person to talk to about that after tonight's over?
We'll put up our email, the Strategic Educational Advantage, and just Frank and I both get it, and we'll both respond, and we'll be delighted to speak with you. So, Frank, I'm going to type that up now. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Wendy?
No. Is it possible to hear the other comments from the other, or do I have to just go and listen to it after the fact? The other speakers that are part of the forum tonight,
You can listen
in order to hear.
You can listen live here. You can stay in the Zoom call and we can just put you on mute, or you can also tune into the live YouTube stream on the Goshen School District YouTube page.
Okay, I'll stay right where I am. Just mute me.
All right.
And I'll just listen here. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
We have Shannon up next. Shannon, welcome.
Hello?
Yes, Shannon, we hear you fine.
Okay, good. Okay, am I supposed to start?
Please do.
Please tell us the characteristics you'd like to see in the next superintendent.
Okay, great. So to me, the superintendent is someone who we all turn to, right? The community, the faculty, the staff, and that person needs to have a true direction in where we want the district to go. We have amazing faculty, amazing staff. I've got nothing but wonderful things to say about Goshen, but I do feel like there's growth and progress that we need to make. I feel like looking to someone that's outside of the district is going to provide us with new ideas, direction, and vision that we do need. I want to see someone in that role that's proactive, someone who can work collaboratively with building administrators so that they have the ability to put things and policies and plans into place that they want so that they can have the growth and change for their building. Someone who's able to make difficult decisions based on what's right, not what's popular. Someone who can make those decisions and then stand behind them. To me, a huge piece is transparency. Someone who's transparent and truly communicates what's going on. For me, that all ties back though into that idea of having someone that has vision and initiative. And when someone has vision and initiative, they are able to be transparent because they do what's right. They can stand behind those decisions that they've made. And then they can be transparent and explain why they're doing what they're doing. I want to see someone in this position because they're the right person for the job, not because they have put their time in or because they feel that that's been owed to them. I want to see someone who's picked because that's the person that's right to lead our district. Someone who has, like I said, that initiative, that vision, and can set goals for our district overall. That's my piece.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So we have Janie Frycourt up next. Janie?
I'm here.
Hi, Janie.
Hi, Janie, we hear you just fine.
Great. Let me give you some light and we can get started with my 90 seconds. How are you?
We're doing just wonderful. Thank you. Had a great day here.
Fantastic. Well, I am a resident and parent of 2 students in the district, class of 2015 and class of 2021. And I hesitated to participate today, just having one more year. Wanted to give other parents who may have more longevity in the district, but my participation in the district, being the treasurer for many years in several buildings and now on the committee of the graduating class, I felt compelled to give my experience to your organization who's looking for an incoming superintendent. Last year, I wrote a letter to the interim commissioner of New York State, stating that we really do need a change in leadership in the district. Specifically after the board announces that we were going to have an interim superintendent, which is the same superintendent we have had for years, I was not in agreement with that. And I thought there should be a change in leadership. For the fact that, in my experience, we need someone to be more diverse in their selection of teachers and staff in the district. If we look at the minority population in this district in comparison to the ratio of administrators and teachers, that is probably next to zero. We would be in less than a 1% percentile. So I would like the committee to consider a superintendent who can accept diversity in this district.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Is that all the time I have?
If
If you would like to make another point or two, go right ahead.
Please.
Excellent. My other points would be, you know, my daughter went through 2 years of bullying in the district. And for many years, I attended the board meetings to suggest and implement ways for us, for the students, the culture of the district to change. We have great teachers, great administrators, great students in this district, but we need to unify the students in a Goshen pride, right? There are too many students that I've spoken with, parents of students who are being bullied in the district because of their differences. And that's because we don't have a Goshen pride to change the culture of the district.
Okay.
Janie, thank you so much. We're going to move on to James Langlow. James.
Wonderful. Have a great
Welcome.
night.
Thank you.
Good evening now.
You too.
James?
We can see you, James.
We know James. You're up, James.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we
We can.
Okay, I'm Jim Langlois, actually a former Goshen superintendent, 96 to 204, and BOCES superintendent after that, now retired. I'll be quick. I've done probably more than a dozen superintendent searches in my time. What I'd like to see for this community, which I continue to live in and admire, is someone who is articulate, a good listener, thoughtful, reflective, compassionate, and has a sense of humor. I'd like to see somebody with a variety of successful experiences that have prepared him specifically for the Goshen superintendency. And that he can describe how he or she has shown leadership, effective leadership during the COVID crisis in particular. And in that process demonstrates both cooperative and decisive leadership. Someone who can describe the current strengths of the district and the challenges it faces, and can articulate a vision that will lead us to higher levels of accomplishment, particularly academically and in the arts. And that level of accomplishment is for all kids, from special needs and ESL students to the highest performing students. Someone who appreciates that teaching is perhaps the most challenging and demanding profession that exists, and can describe the technical side of teaching as well as its creative, social, and personal components, and can explain how a superintendent can honor, support, and at the same time hold accountable the teachers of the district. Also someone who understands the complexity of effective supervision and has a plan for developing, supporting, and supervising the district's academic and support staff and supervisors. Someone who can describe how schools will change and how they might stay the same over the next decade in order to prepare students to be successful in a world that is constantly reinventing itself. And someone who can explain how he or she engaged the parents and community in their district in supporting the schools they served. And finally, I'd like to see someone who could set as a goal for the district that every employee eagerly looks forward to coming to work every day, and every student looks forward to coming to school every day. Thank you very much, and good to
Thank
see
you,
you.
Jim.
Don't
Good
leave
to-
yet, Dr. Langlois. I want to let you know that you were mentioned quite a bit by faculty today. We're honored that such a highly regarded educator as yourself came and shared with us the work that you've done in Northern Westchester. Putnam BOCES speaks for itself, and just nothing but thanks and well wishes to you and appreciation for a wonderful career that you've done magnanimous things for children. So thank you very much, Doctor.
Well, thank you, and good luck with the search. I look forward to see how it turns out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good to see you again, Jim.
All right,
Good night.
bye.
Suzanne, you're up. In May today. Here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
We can hear
can.
you fine, Suzanne.
Okay, wonderful. For the superintendent search, and I appreciated everything that everyone has said so far. I want to see a person who has a belief that all children not only have the ability, but the right to learn. Someone who's dynamic and able to stand their ground and fight for what is right. A forward thinker. We cannot look backwards. This crisis has brought us forward in many ways, and we need to continue moving in that direction. Someone who has a vision. They must be able to articulate what direction they would like to take our district in. And a willingness to communicate with the community, parents, teachers, and students. Students have a voice in what's happening in their world, and we need a leader who's willing to listen to them. And they must be present. They should be in the schools, attending events. They should be someone that our children know. They should be a motivator for our staff and for our students. And they should be student-driven in their beliefs, supporting both struggling and advanced learners. I think that something this district really does need to focus on is that we have a diverse group of learners, from students who struggle as well as students who are advanced. And we need to think about how we can continue to move all of our students forward. Someone with experience that has a proven track record, possibly at a larger district that's looking to go somewhere smaller. Ideally, that can show that they can make changes and stand for what's right. And they need to have the highest expectations for themselves, for our district, our school leaders, our teachers, and our students. If they live in Goshen, that is absolutely a plus, but I don't look at that or a doctorate as something that's absolutely necessary. Someone who is able to be a true leader in every sense of the word. And that's what I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Suzanne.
So I have joining us either Mr. or Mrs. Heltowski.
It's Ms. Helhosky.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, I only had one initial, so I did
No,
not.
that's okay. That's all right.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm looking for an individual who is a seasoned educator, with extensive experience in meeting the needs of all learners, and a person who can facilitate a coordinated K through 12 long-term planning for educational excellence with innovation and related to skills for 21st century learners. I think that long-term planning coordination is critical.
Anything else?
Go right ahead.
The only other thing I would want is, as a lifelong educator myself, is somebody who has extensive experience with classroom and curriculum. We have business managers and other people who can coordinate some other things, but I think the vision that is needed for meeting the needs of all our students requires somebody who has a very good sense of what the educational system works like, and this is how we function. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Up next, we have Sophia Anastasio. Sophia.
Go right ahead, Sophia. We can see you.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks.
Go right ahead.
So I would want to see somebody who has risen through the ranks of the school system and can work together with the staff and the students, preferably somebody who's experienced in a school district similar to Goshen or larger. And of course, somebody who is a great written and oral communicator, who can communicate clearly, transparently, effectively in front of any audience, and whether they know the answers to the audience's questions or not. Someone who is confident enough to admit when they don't have an answer, and someone with proven leadership strength and who is decisive and who knows when to solicit feedback from parents in the community versus when to rely on their own judgment or the feedback of his or her own inner circle. And of course, somebody with a clear vision of what they want for our district and what our district needs. And of course, somebody who will support our teachers. When our teachers feel supported and they're engaged, it's going to shine through to the classroom. And that's when our students are really going to excel. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have with us now Joe Connell. Joe will be joining us.
Our district needs. And of course, somebody who will support our teachers. When our teachers feel supported and they're engaged.
Joe, if you could mute your YouTube.
We're really going to excel.
Go right ahead, Joe. We can see you.
Thanks for the opportunity to be able to speak with you today and to the Board of Education for putting together this opportunity. I wanted to share that it's been great to hear the comments of some of the other members of the community. And in particular, one of the comments that jumped out to me was Wendy talked about having a candidate who truly embraced Goshen. And so whether that is an external hire or where a person comes from, I think somebody who has the ability to embrace the Goshen community is really important. As I was thinking about qualities for a candidate, I really thought from two main points of view. The first is what they lead, and the second is how they lead. In what they lead, they need to be innovative. Coronavirus hasn't come up tonight, which surprises me, but it's thrown our world for a lurch, and it will forever change education. An effective superintendent of Goshen or anywhere will have to be a change manager. And in Goshen, we've embraced some change, but there are some areas where if we look around and we look at the top school districts in our county, we could be further ahead than where we are. To lead change requires an understanding of change management, of leadership theory, of understanding that authority is built based on your position, but also more importantly, your respect. A leader's got to think about the diversity of the staff, of who they're going to bring in. Does the staff, does the administration reflect the diversity of the student body? We heard those comments from one of our participants tonight. And as we think about embracing the diversity of the student body, there's a growth in education in students who have 504s and IEPs. And so we need to embrace special education, the arts, athletics, and the diverse cultural backgrounds of our students. When thinking about leading, a leader's got to be able to embrace growth. When we look at the data, Goshen is one of 3 districts in Orange County that for the last 10 years has been predicted to have a growing student body. We now have Legoland coming to our community. And so we have colleges who want to partner with Goshen because we are a growing community. And we, Monroe Woodbury and Middletown, are the 3 communities that are growing the most. So how do we use the opportunity of the data that exists and the colleges who seek opportunities to provide each of those opportunities for our students in high school and perhaps even throughout by the partnerships that could be created with business and industry? To do this, what a person's going to lead has to be visionary. They have to create practices that make us a blue ribbon district. There are blue ribbon districts in our county. We have the parents and the teachers who were ripe for that opportunity, yet we're the 6th rated district by gradeschools.org. There's no reason that we Goshen should not be top 3. So I would love to know what the superintendent reads. Have they read Jim Collins' From Good to Great? Have they read Ron Heifetz's books on leadership? I would want to know what their vision of every Goshen graduate is. When a student graduates from Goshen, what should they be able to do? And more importantly, in education, what should they be prepared to do? An effective superintendent will believe that every child can excel, so they will empower every staff member to excel. Because a great leader serves, and then it allows the staff, the teachers, and the administration to be able to make that happen. To lead in that way, how this person leads is going to be critical. They're going to have to be a unifier because at times our district has had some breakdowns of trust. And so they're going to have to build trust. Trust begins with listening, but it also understands an understanding of oneself. So an effective superintendent will have to demonstrate self-awareness, an awareness of where they've been, an awareness of where they see themselves going. A word came up of transparent. Being an educational administrator, as an assistant vice president at a college, it is sometimes hard to be transparent, but at a minimum, we can be translucent. We should shed light as a leader, and our community should feel that light in the work that they receive. And as I think of being a senior leader, the key job of a superintendent is not to do all these things, but to create a culture that does it. And so they have to be really effective at identifying and developing talent in the right positions. So this person has to be able to think, who is their team? Who are the people who can come in and embrace a vision that they set forward to be able to lead Goshen to be great, which we as the community want it and deserve it to be. Thanks for this opportunity.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Now we have C. Markowitz. C. Markowitz is up next.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say what I think is necessary and really important for our community and our next superintendent. My husband and I we are parents in the district. We're alumni of the district. And we have 2 students, one in SAS and one in GIS. So this is really important to us in terms of longevity as to why we think this is the best district to raise our family and what we think the district needs in order to move forward. A lot of people have said this already tonight, but I want to repeat it because I think it's really important. We need someone to lead this district who has a clear vision as to where the district needs to go. And it needs to be aligned with the mission of the district and perhaps even taking a look at the mission of the district and does that need to be revised and remodeled with this new world that we live in. We need someone who is in this for the children and who do believe that children not only can all children learn, but they have the right to learn and that it's our responsibility to give them everything that we can in order to make that happen, regardless of their language, of any other issues that they may come into the building with. It is our responsibility and it's our duty. We need someone with humility, someone who is able to look within themselves as a leader and look within the district and see things that can be improved, and to be able to to create and articulate a plan in order to make that happen. Someone who's able to cultivate a culture within the staff where they can develop and empower the leadership team as well as the teachers and the rest of the staff to be able to work together, to be able to make that plan come to light. Someone who's reflective, someone who is able to consistently take a look at the things that are being done and ask questions as to whether or not it's appropriate for our student population for the time that we're in, and be able to make decisions moving forward using data, and not just, someone who's able to actually take a look at the data from surrounding school districts and compare with ours, and look and see where we are and what we need to do to move forward. Someone who's always striving for excellence and really modeling that in their leadership, expecting nothing less from the faculty, expecting nothing less from our students, but most importantly, providing all of the supports necessary so that way our teachers can do what they do best without any of the additional borders that are put forth. We need someone who understands the importance of providing our children with opportunities. So whether that's opportunities for extra help in an AIS or in their modifications or their accommodations, but also opportunities within our advanced classes. And this needs to be something that is K-12. So someone who understands that this begins at the primary level. And at the primary level, the foundations that we are establishing are going to help set up our children for success moving forward. And the last thing that I want to add is someone who is able to be transparent. And what I mean by that is able to communicate with all of the stakeholders, whether it is taxpayers who no longer have children within the district, or new additions to the district who have young children who are just about to start. Being transparent so that way everyone is able to move forward as a community, moving in the same direction, and we all are on the same page as to what that end goal is. I think that that's all I wanted to add that people haven't necessarily added. So thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have up next, out of the waiting room, Tim.
All are on the same page as to what that end goal is. I think that that's all I wanted to add that people haven't necessarily added. So thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have up next, out of the waiting room, Tim.
Tim, would you please turn off your YouTube volume so that we can hear you there, or whoever's there in Tim's camera? Okay.
Yeah. How are you? My name's Patty. So it's been great this evening to participate. It's been interesting to hear other people's thoughts. So some of the ideas or thoughts that I have about what's important. Sorry, I thought that I did. Sorry.
Okay.
Some of the thoughts that I think are important around the qualities we need in a superintendent. I think for me, one of the first and foremost qualities is an exceptional communicator, and an exceptional communicator to all constituents. We've heard other people talk about this. I think we have a real need for a strategic thinker, and not only someone that can think strategically, but then can build that out and set, certain strategic pillars in which all decisions tie back to those strategic priorities. So we make decisions consistently and we make progress on whatever the strategy is. I would very much like to see the personality or the value of the superintendent to have students first instead of rules first. I have had 3 students go through the school district. 2 have already graduated. 1 is in the high school, particularly the middle school and the high school. I think way too often, the focus is on the rules and the structure, and often they lose track of really developing these young men and women from an emotional standpoint. So I would really like to see a superintendent that is open to a culture of yes, and we can, versus a culture of no, which I think we often hear first. And that's on many levels. So I would really like to see a superintendent who's about the students first. I'd like to see a superintendent at all building levels be inclusive of parents. I think there's a philosophy that as they hit middle school and high school, there's lack of communication because they feel that they want to be empowering the students to take on that responsibility. Well, I certainly support that. I think too often it cuts off communication to the parents way too soon and on too many levels. I think you can do both. I personally would love to see someone who's coming from a larger, more affluent, perhaps, school district in terms of their experiences. So they might be bringing to our school district some best practices and new thinking, other programming that they may have seen because the district they're coming from may have had that capacity. Definitely like to see someone who is a doer, someone who's pushing for more, someone that's a person of action. And then finally, I would really love to see somebody really pushing the district on all levels to look at creative and fresh opportunities across the board, even down to simple, mundane things like the school menu. There's just so much opportunity. The district is so ripe for creativity and fresh programming from an academic perspective, but also from a social, emotional, and health perspective. So those are some of the things that I think would be really valuable in a superintendent.
Thank you, Patty.
Kim Armstead. Kim?
Fresh programming from
Oh, you got let in now.
academic perspective, but
Oh, no
also from a
thanks.
social, emotional, and health perspective. Those are some of the things that I think would be really valuable in a
Did I lose Kim? I don't see her anymore. I don't see Kim. I'm going to move on to Megan, and we'll circle back. Megan, we're putting you up next. This doesn't.
Hey, you know what? I've already, yeah, I don't know why it's got
Okay.
me there twice.
Oh.
Thanks.
It's okay. Let's see. We had Tim as well. We're going to move on to Autumn. Autumn. Looks like we're trying to connect to Autumn's iPhone. Autumn, are you there?
Frank and Mike, Jason Pucci here. I know there's nobody right now in the queue, but we have an open house going on right now, a virtual open house that's probably going to end in the next 5 or 10 minutes. So I think we'll hang out here and see if anybody else queues up, and maybe some of the people we lost here in the last 5 minutes, maybe they'll re-queue. So let's just hang
That's
out.
fine.
Okay.
Anybody else queues up?
Fine with us.
I want to give everybody the opportunity that they deserve.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We're here. Go ahead.
Frank and Mike, I think we'll hang till like 8:15. If nobody gets on by that point, we'll give some final comments.
Sounds good.
Mike and Frank, I think we have somebody in the waiting room.
I'm sorry.
I think we lost somebody in the waiting room. We had somebody in there, but they're gone.
All right, we're here.
Yeah, we're here.
We just
We're
put out
here.
yeah, the district just put out a late, last push through our app. So we'll give maybe maybe go to 8:20.
Sure.
Not a
Okay.
problem.
Yeah.
You said you lost somebody?
Yeah, they lost somebody. But they put something out on the app, so. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not there. Do we need you?
Mike, how do you get back on back on
I think we have one person in the waiting room. Frank and Mike, do you see the waiting room person or?
We don't see them.
I don't see her.
There's one in there that just says iPhone on top.
Hello, we have an iPhone connecting.
We may have just lost iPhone.
Hello? We're connecting to iPhone. You're up and on the screen. Hello, iPhone, are you with us?
Okay, Mike and Frank, I think I'm gonna first of all, I'd like to thank John Rediker for being here and helping us through the meeting tonight. I really appreciate him. Obviously, I'd like to thank Dr. Frank Oriyama and Dr. Michael Kuchar. We really appreciate your work you did all day today, since 1 o'clock till 8:20. I know it's a long day for you guys, but we really appreciate it. And the board is really appreciative of your help during this most important process for any Board of Education. And obviously, and most importantly, I'd like to thank our community. I think they gave you great input. I'd like to thank Main Street staff who you interviewed today, our assistant superintendents, all of our unions, the PTOs, obviously, who are connected. We're really happy with this process. We're glad our community could participate. There will be a Google form going out also, either later tonight or tomorrow. We'll also include a link to the recording of this presentation, and that will be up until Sunday. Any final comments from Dr. Mike or Dr. Frank?
Just want to thank everybody and thank you, Jason, and the entire board, and for everybody for welcoming us into your community today. It certainly was an unorthodox process, but it worked and the feedback was exceptional. So thank you. Frank?
Yeah, I have a very similar opinion. I just want to thank everybody for you really welcomed us here today. We realize that the process is a new one and we're all kind of learning as we go and we're learning together, and that's a really great thing. My last comment is to keep in mind that we tabulate all these ideas and all these thoughts, but the board is going to hire one person, and that's why that person needs to be a very special person to be able to address the needs, the wants, and the wishes that we heard today. Before we close, I think we do have one person. I think iPhone just popped up. I could be wrong, Jason.
I don't see.
Okay. So thanks again and good night, everyone, and thanks for your help.
Be safe, be well. Bye now.